Welcome to Hagmann. It's the Hagmann Report for Tuesday, June 23rd, 2023. I want to welcome everyone to tonight's broadcast. I hope everyone had a nice weekend, a nice Father's Day. Did you have a nice Father's Day? Ricky, I got your packet. Hey, Ricky, God bless you. God bless you, Ricky. I'll tell you what. Jeremiah in Missouri, come here. We got to talk. I'll tell you what. I've been hearing some great stuff about you. That's just a little message between friends. All right, Ricky. Thank you. Jeremiah in Missouri. God bless you. All right. I hope everyone had a great Father's Day. And even the single moms out there. Look, it's a dual role, isn't it? Or the single dads. It's a double duty role. Telling you. So I had something I kept a little bit quiet, but we're going to start off the show. This show is going to be about the missing and dead scientists and what is going on in the world of true crime here. I mean, is this true crime or this is true crime? And I really think a lot of the true crime centric podcasts should be looking at this and taking this apart, just as they're taking apart the Nancy Guthrie case, just as they did with the Summer Wells case and other cases, because this is something that involves national security. This involves a lot of things that we need to really take a close, hard look at. But before we get into the nice program, I had the pleasure of getting an advance copy of a very famous country western singer, her official music video for Nashville. And then, of course, Stephanie Quayle. And I got this, and I couldn't really say anything about it or do anything. I got this, and I watched the unpolished version, I suppose, which to me, man, it was so endearing to me. And the reason I want to start off with this is because humanity. There is so much death, so much destruction, so much chaos, so much bitterness and vile hatred. There's so much bad. I'll tell you what, though. There's a lot of good out there. There's a lot of people doing good. And when I saw Stephanie Quayle, Steve Quayle's daughter, by the way, when I saw her video, it brought me to my knees. I told Stephanie, I said, I got to write something about this. Do you mind? Would you allow me to write something about this? Something stirred in my heart. I'd like you to take a look at it. And I'd be honored if you would also go to my Substack, Doug Hagmann Substack. It doesn't cost anything. I don't charge anything no, it's going to ask you to subscribe as an email member. And look, it's a very low, you don't get any junk mail. Okay. Just when I post something, you'll get an email. That's all. So I'd ask you to subscribe because what I've written about this, and I'll show you, I did cross-post at the Hagmann PI, but I'm not going to do that with other articles, okay? I did write this tribute, and thank you, Steeler's mom. God bless you. I know the pain. I know, and others, I got emails from other people. I know the pain. Mother's Day, Father's Day, the loss. People will never understand the loss. And that's kind of also another reason why I want to start with this, is because we're talking about the missing or the disappearance, the deaths of humans, of people. And a lot of times many people forget that we're talking about, when we say victims and stuff, we fail to humanize the people. And I really, I, deep within my soul, I ask that we don't take this victimization lightly. So when there's good in the world, when there's something good, when there's a daughter who actually is paying tribute to her father, I want you to take a look at this. And just, I ask that you appreciate the beauty of the sentiment, the beauty of the love of a man's daughter to her father. And I want you to think, if you are a daughter out there and you happen to have lost your way with your father, please watch this. If you're a daughter out there who maybe hasn't spoken to her father for a while, please watch this. Please share it with someone like that you know. Without any further commentary, please, Eric the Tech, go ahead and run this. It's about 3 minutes, but we do have the permission from the proper permissions to play this. So go ahead, sir. That was Stephanie Quayle in Nashville. She's played at the Opry, and she's played with many big names, and but she does have a love of her dad, Steve Quayle. You know Steve, right? Um, and again, a lot of times we look at people. Please understand that there's a human element here that we as investigators, Randy Taylor's with me, and as investigators, especially when you get into homicides and you look down at a body, a lot of times, and I mean that, I have to get this off my heart, so forgive me, Randy, for encroaching on this a little bit. You look down at a body and all of a sudden, sometimes it almost seems, I don't want to say routine, but rote. It seems sometimes you have to struggle to keep in mind that the body that you're looking at, whether it's at the morgue or somewhere else, is a mother, a daughter, a sister, a brother, a father, a mother, whatever it might be. Yeah, the person was loved, a baby, a child at one point. And a lot of times we approach true crime, investigative crime, with insufficient humanity. And I mean that. And our words often, when we talk about this, we can gloss over these words. And please, I ask that you understand where I'm coming from. And I'm coming from a position of my own personal loss. This Father's Day, I thought, I lost a son who was, and I will say this, he was murdered by a woman by the name of Cassandra and her friend. I lost a daughter, adult daughter, under different circumstances, totally different circumstances. Both untimely. My son, Joe, was 39. My daughter was 38 at the time of their deaths. Fully adults, but you know what? You look at, you identify their bodies, not once in your life. Once is too much, but twice. You read the coroner's reports, things that you should never have to read as a parent. You see the injustice, the fact that certain life choices that my son made put him in a position of raised risk victimology. His choice, his decisions. But regardless, he did not deserve to die, nor did my daughter, who was struggling. My first wife was impaired by a massive cerebral hemorrhage during her pregnancy with my daughter. In a coma for 2 months, they administered medications, and my daughter had some severe mental health issues from that, which she succumbed to last April, a year ago, April. But the pertinent side of things, when I mentioned that, for obviously the tribute that I wrote was, it took me, I'll be honest with you, it took me 10 days to write it. Not because it was 10 days long. I mean, not because of, no, it took me 10 days because I would get through a paragraph or 2 paragraphs. I knew what I wanted to write. I just couldn't say it. I'm being honest with you. And here's what I learned from that as it applies to tonight's program. And again, I'm pouring my heart out here. We look at these individuals who have passed away or are missing. They're somebody's husband, wife. Let's not forget that. I used to say, when I would meet the family of a homicide victim, I know how you feel. Well, until April 28th, 1982, I did not know how they felt. I would say that, but I did not know. Until June of 2019, talking with people who have lost their son, I would say, I know how you feel, but I did not know how they felt. I do now. The reason I bring this up is I ask that everyone approach this subject with the sobriety. Because I look at myself. I look at Randy Taylor. I know Randy Taylor looks at himself. And others, Steve Quayle. We look in the mirror. We see the miles. Rough miles. Miles that beat the living crap out of our bodies, especially lately. Took the legs right out from underneath Randy Taylor in a literal sense.
I use a shorter mirror now.
Yeah. God bless you. Hey, come on board, man. Come on board.
No, you keep
Join
going,
me.
buddy.
Well,
finish what you're saying.
No, I don't want to beat this to death.
No. I want you to finish what you're saying.
Well,
it's important. It's important.
The closing remarks was, really essentially is this. I was never a sworn police officer, but I went through, back when you could do this, the police departments, the municipal police departments in Pennsylvania permitted individuals to enroll in a collegiate police academy, okay, a police academy that all of the municipal police officers went to. I mean, from police administration tests to the, psychological evals and the gun, the weapons training and emergency vehicles drivers training and such. I mean, all of this stuff. So I went through that, and then coursework and I have not disclosed this before, I don't think, but behavioral psychology, and then from there, forensics, and from there getting being retained or being hired, I should say, by a Fortune 100 insurance company to work equivocal death investigations in their criminal division, a Fortune 100 company that put me in the field with homicide detectives, working alongside them to the extent I was permitted as a commissioned investigator with a Fortune 100 insurance company. And then from there, branching out on my own as a licensed, multi-state licensed investigator, as is Eric the Tech, and has been, and as is Randy Taylor. Okay, so we're all in this together. So I want to let everyone know, especially the new people, and I got some notices after I put this notice up today. I got some notices from people who said, I did not realize your background. I did not realize, and I've been listening to you for 5-6 years. Oh, I would hear things here and there, but I didn't realize the extent. I didn't realize the extent of Randy Taylor's background in the the intelligence and counterintelligence field, post 9/11, the working closely with the FBI, with the JTTF, with the various federal agencies at the time. So this is to let everyone know that we've worked both sides, or we've worked with myself, pretty much law enforcement and prosecutors, law enforcement and defense attorneys, and law enforcement and well, pretty much AUSA. There would be, I'm sorry, law enforcement either at the municipal level or at the state or federal level in the criminal arena. Now, some civil, but a lot of criminal. And that's been for the last 38 years. Randy Taylor, last 27, 28 years, I don't know, the boatload of years, working in the intelligence arena. And again, this is important. It's important for everyone to know. Developing contacts in some of the most critically important agencies, federal and state agencies. Names that you would recognize. For example, Tom Homan. Okay, as one. Others, and I'm not going to name them all, but you would know their names, and being able to, at one point, being able to contact them one or two steps, okay, either directly or through their assistants, plural. What Randy Taylor has done in terms of providing intelligence directly to the agencies that needed the intelligence in time to save many people, and myself contacting some of the same agencies, but also the law enforcement, working alongside law enforcement, and all of that just to not. This sounds like a resume statement. Just to let everyone know where we stand, and myself having a little bit different perspective from April of '82. Bearing witness to a homicide of my uncle at my family home, which you know about, that spurned a parallel investigation as explained, as written by myself in two books, Stained by Blood and In the Dark of Night, both available at Amazon in Kindle and hard copy format. If you haven't read them, give them a chance. And if you have, thank you. And if you haven't done so and have read them, leave an honest review at Amazon, even at this late date. That way, you know what? It does raise the algorithm a little bit. But I've got more coming out on that. And I know Randy Taylor, we've got some plans. Taylor and I have some plans. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Giddy up. We have some plans, and you're in the very, very near future. I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe even around or before America's 250th birthday celebration, you might see us together. Huh. We're never up to any good when we're together.
Yeah.
And then we throw Eric the Tech in the mix. And it's like a trifecta of holy, watch out. It's coming. But folks, I've never been more excited about what we have to offer you. All right. I want to give a shout out to, recently, over the last several months, I've spent a good deal of time watching certain programs, episodes, podcasts, broadcasts, internet broadcasts that deserve a mention, okay? For behavioral analysis, the behavioral panel, for and behavioral arts, two channels that you should have on your bookmarks. Behavioral panel, and each one there's four individuals that make up that panel. Each one you should have bookmarked. The Behavioral Panel on YouTube. Yes, I hate YouTube, but what are you going to do? And Behavioral Arts as well on YouTube, run by a guy by the name of Spidey, who's got an incredible performance as a mentalist, which that whole process is, and this is relevant to tonight. Being a mentalist involves a lot of behavioral analysis, nonverbal, very, very close watching nonverbal communications. So those two, those two channels, just my favorites. Okay. Then, as you move into current events and the true crime arena, just very quickly, I've watched the growth of certain individuals, and I've also taken, I don't have the book here with me. It's actually, it's on my, believe it or not, it's on my nightstand. I read it at bedtime. The New Evil, and that's by Dr. Gary Bricada. Interesting book, but great piano player, by the way. But he's part of something. There's two, in quotation mark, true crime broadcasts, and these true crime. The Interview Room is one of them. Chris McDonough, along with people like John Lamb and Bob Gilliam and others, along with Dr. Gary. And then there's another channel called The Lab by Josh Diaz. Now, all of this is going to, promise me, stay with me here, okay? It's all going to connect. And part of, now moving back just a tad, part of the behavioral panel, and I'm sure, I don't recall which commenter in the comments section doesn't really care for either Sean Ryan or Chase Hughes. Well, buddy, suck it up today, because we're going to tap into one segment from them. Chase Hughes is part of the behavioral panel. Sean Ryan has his own podcast. Think of him what you will. But Chase Hughes is a profiler. He's heavy into the intelligence part of things. And let me tell you something. It's one thing to analyze nonverbal communication and be very good at it. It's another thing, a whole another thing, to be able to program people. All right, keep that in the back of your mind. Paul Ekman, I had taken courses by Paul Ekman back in the day as a student of psychology, forensic psychology. Paul Ekman, the Ekman Group. That's another place that you should kind of keep your eye on. In fact, Ekman was also really the basis for nonverbal communication and profiling, even to the extent of Mindhunter, the series Mindhunter, and a few others. And I know I'm not naming all of them, but folks, we are right now in a battlefield when it comes to talking about the missing and dead scientists. We're in a battlefield, but the battlefield, I think a lot of people are looking in the wrong places. Wrong places. The war is actually a psychological war. The war is actually using weapons that you think, are you serious, man? Weapons like, mind control weapons? Yeah. How about directed energy weapons? Oh, yeah. And for those of you who know, if you know Brian Enton with News Nation, a very, very accomplished reporter, field reporter. The guy needs roller skates on his, couch or whatever, because, man, he's all over the place. But I'll tell you something. The information that we're being fed about this particular topic that Randy Taylor is very well versed on, that Eric the Tech has done a lot of stuff in the background with, and myself, I've done some stuff as well to bring you to tonight's program. But you needed, to me, this was important to get the backstory and to not forget the fact that we're talking about people who deserve to live, who never deserve. I mean, no one deserves to be murdered. Well, you know what? I take that back. I
have to clarify that one.
I got to walk that back.
I got a list.
If anyone needed to die, that he done needed to die. Yeah. What was that song? Anyway. Randy Taylor. So come on board and give me your raw, unfiltered thoughts about my ramblings over the last 20 minutes.
That's all right. You have been through a lot, man. You've lost 2 children. I don't know. I've never once said that, I know how you feel, because I don't. I've lost friends, family, but never children. I don't know how you deal with that.
Not well.
I know. I remember when Joe died and you called, and I was stunned.
Well, I thought you were going somewhere else, which, don't do that. But okay. Because Randy Taylor was very good. When I was on an op, he prevented me from, he just became a nuisance, a pain in my ass, and prevented me from doing something that,
that he would have regretted. Yeah. But anyway, he might have enjoyed it at the moment, but he would have regretted it. Yeah. But that's what friends are for.
And see,
your friend will talk you back in off the ledge.
Well, I wasn't quite on the ledge. I was.
Oh, you were on the ledge.
Maybe. but here's the other part of this, too. In the cases of the dead scientists, and I ask, as well as other cases, folks that you might think, well, what does this care? What does this matter? It matters because it really, I've seen this more and more.
Yeah. We went through a phase of this back in the 2000s too. With,
yes,
dead scientists.
Dead scientists. Oh yes, this is like 2.0. Go ahead.
And what people need to remember is, okay, I'll accept 1 or 2 of these deaths as possibly being legit. When you look at ratios, when you look at patterns, when you look at numbers, but all of them, no. Back in the 2000s, I know Steve Quayle for the longest time had on his website lists of missing scientists, missing and dead scientists. And I used to go back there and just grab a name and go and study and read about it. And it was amazing that this could be occurring and more attention isn't being paid to it by the government. They should be tearing the place apart.
Yes.
Trying to figure out what's going on, at least to explain what they can explain. This is crazy, what we're seeing here.
Now, okay. Now, I just want to...
The list that I'm looking at right now is that was prepared for the show. When you sit there and you look at it, you're like, this just doesn't make sense.
Well, it does if you squint. No, I'm kidding.
That's a lot of squinting.
But it's a lot of squinting. Now, hold the phone 1 second here, because I do want to address something. And I'm doing this with love and kindness. Okay. Hang on. I got to move this. Okay. So, Dwayne, I'm going to address someone in the chat. And by the way, I want to thank everyone for joining the chat and talking in the chat. Okay, we always enjoy intellectual discourse. But let me talk, hey, Dwayne, let me talk to you, because here's a comment, and I just want I want to address this comment. If you support, and again, Dwayne, I'm doing this from an investigator point of view, as well as the recipient of some of those accusations incorrectly. Dwayne wrote this. If you support Trump, you support pedos and rapists. Okay, now, Dwayne, brother, my friend, here's all I ask. Here's all Randy Taylor asked, but I'll let him address this if he wants. But here's all we ask. Proof. Now, proof is elusive, all right? Do you have proof, or do you have evidence to substantiate that? If you do, let's go after him and throw him under the bus. If you're using talking points like from the Epstein files and such that have been edited, manipulated, and whatever, nah, man. But if you have, again, we're so quick with accusations lacking proof.
Yeah. Right? And that's exactly what they are, accusations.
Right.
And even where a jury said that, sided with a woman in a rape case, I'm sorry, that's going to be revisited, and it's been torn apart more than once that she's lying.
You're talking about E. Jean Carroll, is that?
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, when you start taking that case apart,
and when you go and look at the financing behind these people,
yeah,
that's what they said in court doesn't mean jack shit to me. What Doug just said, if you got proof, you got receipts, we'd be hollering and screaming about Trump.
And you know about the word receipts. RT, I just want to mention this. The word receipts is often used, and it seems to diminish. I agree with Susan Daniels, who's a longtime private investigator. I have a lot of respect for that woman. She's up in age, but she wrote a book, Susan Daniels, on Amazon, but it's documentation. Receipts kind of diminishes the importance of the documentation. That's just my feeling. I don't know how you feel.
Proof, receipts, whatever you want to call it. I'm going with the vernacular.
That's fine. Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything that convinces me of what you just said. Nothing.
Right. No,
nothing. And trust me, I would love to take it apart because I do see things that I don't understand. And I wish I could take it apart at what you just said, but I cannot.
And you know something? You can be a horn dog, right?
Yeah.
Or a guy could have a man or a woman could be of poor moral character and engage in nasty consensual. Ugh. Okay. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make them a pedo or a rapist if they are over the age of consent and it's a consensual encounter.
And I really have trouble with people that come forward, 20 years later and say something. I don't, just the fact of that, unless you were a child.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't give you a discount on it. It just really diminishes the charge.
And that's the other thing too. And please, when we talk about these things, I see another thing taking place, and I'll say this again, and I'm sorry for saying it. No, I'm not sorry. Just understand why I'm saying this. When you are talking about the sexual abuse, the rape, the sodomization of a young child, and to kind of to succumb to or to bend the knee at the algorithms of YouTube so your channel can remain monetized. Yeah. So you have to soften the phrase sexual assault or murder or rape or sodomy or whatever the case might be. I have to ask, are you not softening, or are you not doing a disservice to the victim?
No.
I'm just asking.
The words need to shock. They need their shock value.
They need, you know what? Shock. Heck, they need to just say it what it is.
That's what it is, but it has to have that impact.
Yes.
When you say R*PE, you're not doing any service to the victim. None. Nada.
It's self-censorship.
Yeah.
And it hurts my heart to think that, that many people, especially conservatives, maybe it's because that's all I watch or all I see, or mostly I see. They're the biggest offenders of this because they want to make that money. And you know what? I would like that too. But I'm not going to bend the knee to YouTube or to Spotify, or I guess I can't.
I don't want to be an influencer that bad.
No, I don't either. I know you.
You like me, great. Great too. I won't lose any sleep over it.
No. Let me ask a question in the chat, right? So if you have any questions in the chat, because we're going to be hitting this really hard, really quick, and really, I think you're going to have, I think this will be like the ultimate core example of what would you call it? Any missing scientist or dead scientist or scientists of question that something's happened over the last 5 years, you're gonna hear their name here. Okay, we're gonna focus on a few, but so if they're on the list, they're here. Now, recently, I believe it was Jennifer Coffindagger. I'm not. Forgive me if I screwed that last name up. Former or retired FBI agent. I like her. I like her a lot. But she had approached this topic in one of her recent podcasts, and I subscribed to her channel. And
what was her name? Coffin Dagger?
Coffin. I'm so sorry. Hey, I'll tell you what it is here in a second, because I
bet she was glad when debit cards came out.
She's a lovely lady. Okay,
that poor thing had a sign of that name. It's right off the paper.
If someone knows Coffin Daffer, I don't know. If somebody knows in the chat, I'm not going to spend time trying to pull her. But she's got a great channel, and she's a very lovely woman, very accomplished lady. But she had recently, and I'm not going to pull this up or show you guys this, but she had recently gone through this and debunked a lot of these. And, I'd love to have a conversation with her. If anyone knows her, former FBI agent to investigator, I'd love to be able to just to have a 10-minute telephone conversation with her to kind of maybe say, would you really look at this? Because you've got talents. She's got talents. And have a different look at this. That's just from me. But anyway, I believe these 90% are related, and they're topically related to the profession, whether it is Los Alamos nuclear secrets, whether it's a UFO or unidentified aerial phenomena. There are common factors. Now, not all, and some have been thrown in there to kind of dirty up the waters, if you will. Just so others can say, see, look, that person's the janitor over there, so that person shouldn't have. But what happens is that minimizes the impact of the genuine victims. Okay, so here's an assertive statement right off the bat. We have a problem in this country right now with scientists, with individuals related to the nuclear military investigative branch of the unidentified aerial phenomenon. Think drones, think satellites, think that in that vicinity. That's what we're talking about here. We've got a problem. And it's finally on the radar of President Trump. And now back in April, the FBI said, well, we're looking in this. And the House Oversight Committee, I believe, Comer, promised to look into this. But you know how that goes, right? How we doing on all those investigations? Whether it's Charlie Kirk or whether it's Epstein or whether it's insert issue here. How we doing on that? We know we're not doing well. All right. So I just want to check with the chat, everyone. If I just was my long, lengthy introduction, was it okay? Because I needed to get that off my chest. Did you find that okay? All right. Did you just put a yes or no or shut, STFU or whatever? I don't care. But RT, let's hit the ground running, and I will check the chat as I go. Did you just hold something up there? I just. Oh, we sent. Okay, I didn't know. All right. So Eric the Tech. I did send you in the second show prep email two kind of an introductory news nuggets, news sources. I think there's a video. I think the second one is a video. Let's start off kind of easy. Let's ease into that. And for those who don't know what the hell we're talking about, we can watch this. Is that all right? All right. Eric Deck, you good on this? Fire that video up when you have a chance. It's, let me set it up before you do that. It's Catherine Herridge and Katie Pavlich. I know Katie. Okay. Damn good reporter. This is an introduction to directed energy weapons, specifically the Havana Syndrome, or not specifically, that includes the Havana Syndrome. This will come into play in a big way, kind of out of left field. Randy Taylor knows what I'm talking about. But let's play that one if you have it. It's 6 minutes long, but we're only going to play a few, just 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes, kind of setting the stage. And then we're going to get into the slides we have and everything else and tie it up in a nice bow for all of you. So let's do it.
To a story we have been covering a great deal at News Nation, that of the 12 missing or dead scientists. One of them was researcher Amy Eskridge, who before her reported suicide claimed she had been the victim of a directed energy attack inside her Alabama home. Directed energy weapons fire concentrated energy at the speed of light, and for years, intelligence officials working abroad have reported brain injuries known as Havana Syndrome. The condition could be linked to directed energy weapons, but now there could be a domestic threat too. Our next guest has been looking extensively into these weapons and has spoken to people who say they have been injured by them. Take a look.
Have directed energy weapons been used against U.S. government personnel?
Absolutely.
Mike, you did counterintelligence work for the U.S. government. You dealt with highly classified information.
We walked in on an operation that the hostile country was doing.
So you were attacked by a hostile intelligence service.
Right.
It fundamentally disrupts the brain network.
Yes, ma'am.
All these people being injured, and you're just saying, no, it didn't really happen.
Emmy Award-winning investigative journalist Catherine Herridge joins us now. Great to see you here. Thank you so much. So you've, of course, been investigating reports of Havana Syndrome, both abroad and domestically. Tell us what it is for people who aren't familiar.
Well, a directed energy attack is, in simple terms, like putting your cell phone in a microwave just for a couple of seconds. When you take it out, it looks undamaged, but in fact, the electrical networks have been completely disrupted. And what I've been able to document in my reporting is that the injuries don't stop with that initial attack, that it can be progressive. And in fact, we've documented cases of brain cell atrophy as well as brain cell death.
So this is something that was reported during the Biden administration. There are members of the CIA who said there's something wrong with them. Is there a difference now in how this is being handled versus how it was handled with the Biden administration? Is it being taken seriously at this point?
Well, just in the clip you saw, that was retired counterintelligence officer Mike Beck. He was attacked in 1996 in a hostile country, and he had to move into assisted living in his 60s because he had this Parkinson's-like syndrome. He was a classic case of the brain injury progressively getting worse. It was that story that prompted D&I Gabbard to do a new assessment of these anomalous health incidents or Havana Syndrome. And one of her last acts was to recall all of the Biden era assessments because they were defective and they were politically biased as well. And those assessments said that it was unlikely a novel weapon or a foreign adversary was responsible. And that is not backed up by the intelligence and the evidence.
So for those who say they were injured,
these links will be available at hagmannpi.com under, you have to click on you go to hagmannpi.com, you navigate to the current, this particular episode, you click on the show link, scroll down, and all of the links to all of these sources will be listed right there for your convenience. All right. We did the work so you don't have to. All right. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about something that you hear about, but it's really not reported by mainstream media. And RT, I thought of you when I saw this page 1 in the show notes, Eric the Tech. If you can put that up. If you wonder, let's say what are these two guys talking about? Missing or dead scientists related to Los Alamos, related to UFOs, related to nuclear secrets or whatever. What the hell are they talking about? So you dutifully go and type in the search engine and type in missing dead scientists. And one of the first things that comes up is this Wikipedia entry, if you want to put that on the screen. And this will tell you how full of crap we are. See, Wikipedia has their own entry. Not that one. Not that one. Page 1 in the show notes, my friend. I even put page 1 just for your benefit. Eric the Tech's having a rough night. I got to tell you, Eric the Tech's a hard-working guy. He's buried. This is page 1. Wikipedia. Missing scientist, conspiracy theory. Is that it? I can't see that. Yeah, is that? Okay. Yeah, there it is. All right. I see it now. So, RT, what are we talking about? Well, if you ask Wikipedia, in 2026, this conspiracy theory emerged, alleging that the deaths and disappearances of several people. Now, notice several people, which indicates several, 7? Some described online as scientists tied to classified or sensitive research were connected to secret knowledge about UFOs, advanced energy products, materials, science, and so on, right? And what started this off? The February 2026 disappearance of U.S. Air Force Major General William Neal McCaslin. Well, if Wikipedia would let us correct the record, that didn't. Not even close. It started with a guy by the name of Michael David Hicks, which we're going to get into later. But you can read this drivel, which tells us that we're full of poo, and that this is all just a big misunderstanding, and we're making crap out of nothing. Now, it does list some, not all, and some unrelated in this fanciful chart that this article sports. But the bottom line here is the information. The source information is, and the conclusion, the cause of death or the circumstances, the resolution, as they put it. Well, you might want to take a second look at that. So that's enough of that. All right. So that's what you're gonna find out. So if you're sitting around and you're talking with Jeremiah, if you're talking with somebody that really doesn't know what the heck they're talking about, that's what they're going to come back with you at. Now, Randy Taylor, myself, Eric the Tech, other people of our team did some deep dives, and guess what? Here's what we found. Now, this is page 2 in the show notes, okay, on the show emails I sent you, page 2, Daily Mail. This is really weird. So the first missing scientist is found dead a year after vanishing as bizarre circumstances of her death are revealed. Folks, you got to read this article. Because this past May, a woman, 53-year-old woman, and I'm afraid to mispronounce her last name, Melissa Casillas. She worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory. She went missing last June and was just discovered in May 29th, this past. Okay. Eric the Tech, if you scroll down on this article, if you scroll down there's a surveillance photograph. On the date that she went missing, you can see her walking alone after dropping off her husband at work. If you scroll down on that same article there, my brother, there you go. Keep going. You're going to see a surveillance. If we keep going, I'll tell you when to stop. Right there. Okay. Now you see that little thing that says View Gallery on the bottom right of that image? Click on that, and what'll happen is, okay, there's a surveillance image. This is one of her last appearances. She was last seen walking alone in New Mexico after dropping off her husband at work at Los Alamos National Laboratory, but not reporting for work herself. Okay, now, Eric the Tech, if you can do me a solid, click the right-handed button on that. Next one. Next one. There we are. Now, General McCaslin. For those who know, no. For those who don't know, you might have a little catching up to do. But here's the wife of General McCaslin, speaking with police after he disappears. This is going to come in, what she says is going to come into play here in a little bit. So go ahead, and if you can, play that video. It's only 3 minutes.
Today he had taken a drug that the doctor prescribed last night that was supposed to help with sleep. With weight gain, he's lost about 20 pounds for no reason. And with anxiety. And today he woke up and said, well, I got better sleep, but it's like after effects of a bad hangover. I'm just foggy. I can't get any motivation to do anything. And like I said, he was very clingy. He wanted me right beside him.
All right, just keep that in the back of your mind. That's the wife of General McCaslin. All right, keep that, what she said, in the back of your mind. All right. Now we can go to, and RT can join me on this too. We can go to the PowerPoint. The first slide is, of course, the missing and dead scientists, and this is tonight's program. And to show you the scope of who we're talking about, the next slide is kind of an overview that's painted as a conspiracy theory that results from internet search. The missing scientist phenomenon is a conspiracy theory, alleging that at least 11 U.S. researchers, and so on, and so it goes. But
yeah, so are chemtrails and the Epstein files.
Exactly. I'm not going to I can't put this this PowerPoint up. So right now, I just can't do it. So you can take a screenshot if you want, if it's that important. All right. The next page, this gets into the grit. Randy Taylor, big digger in this, as well as Eric the Tech and others. So we have William Neal McCaslin. Here are the key individuals and cases that we're talking about overall. William Neal McCaslin, retired Air Force Major General. Stephen Garcia, nuclear security contractor. Both remain missing as of now. Nuno Lorioro, an MIT physicist, and Carl Grillmeyer, Caltech astronomer, were victims of homicides. But you notice how the surface level research it wasn't related to their work. Amy Eskeridge and Jason Thomas, suicides. Now, these are all individuals involved in very specific jobs. And then Melissa Casillas, Los Alamos National Laboratory employee, missing since June of 2025. She was found May 29th. I'm sorry, I put found in June 20th. This should be May. I made that mistake. In a New Mexico forest with a handgun nearby. All right. The next one kind of says it all, too. Here's what they're keeping from you. President Donald Trump and House Oversight Chairman James Comer have characterized the cluster, meaning these missing and death situations, as a potential national security threat, leading to a federal probe involving the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense. Folks, I want you to think back to the drone stuff that were inexplicable over New Jersey, the spy balloon over America. How well did that go? Under the 4 years of Mr. Potato Head. All right. If you skip 2 frames, you can kind of see a picture, a collage of the missing dead scientists. All right. Okay. Now, you can stop there and put RT and I up together because we're kissing cousins here, investigative partners, and so Randy Taylor, you've had a chance to kind of go through this and research, investigate, look at this, and we got about 12 individuals dead, missing. in your investigative experience, because you and I together, we've got over 50 flipping years, well, actually over 60, but who's counting, of investigative experience. What you thinking? What you thinking about this?
I mean, every bit of it's suspicious.
Now,
like I said, I would buy one or two.
So,
but you can't sell me all of them.
Okay, the one thing that I thought was excellent that you did on that page, I included your assessment in the page 2 of the document, current compiled list of missing dead scientists. It says key context on page 2 at the bottom. Do you see that? Do you have that handy? Do you?
Yeah, key circumstances notes.
No. Okay, you're going, actually, no. Okay. So here's what RT put together. I'm going to speak for RT because I'll tell you what, you can, I'm going to send this back to you because this is your polished one.
All right.
How? Email or text?
You're going to have to refresh my memory.
All right. Yeah.
Either one, whatever is easiest to send.
Well, I mean, whatever's easiest for you to look at without,
because fine. I've got my cell phone right here.
All right. So, because I do see what you're looking at, and you did a better job on this finalized product. So hang on just one second. I will put this out to you. Here we go. I'll send you this to you by text. That way, would that be easier?
Yep.
Okay. I thought this pretty much wrapped everything up. And folks, this will lay a further foundation for the entire topic. All right, so stand by here. Let me get this to the guy. Here we go. All right. In a flash, in an instant, because this is 2026, you should have it. All right. So when people talk about the cases of missing dead scientists over the last 5 years, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's really 5, or there's 4 primary and 1 secondary thing that notes that RT put together. Key context related to these cases. You take this away, man. You want to comment on that? Because what we're looking here with respect to, for example, you wrote about field overlap, the concentration.
Yeah, the heavy concentration of NASA, JPL,
right?
Space materials, space common materials, planetary science, Los Alamos,
the nuclear part, yeah.
Air Force, defense research, and related sensitive areas.
That last sentence you put in there.
This is why the pattern is around national security scrutiny.
Yeah.
And it, as it should, because look at where they're missing from. I know when it comes to Los Alamos, I know the FBI get really freaky about that. I've dealt with that before. See, and this is limited. What we have here, this is just cases limited 2022 to early 2026. I'm going back into the 2000s, early 2000s.
Yep.
And looking at dead scientists and missing scientists. And I just remember, and still at that time, it was all related to government, I'm going to say scientific and military work.
All right.
That's a constant.
Now,
Doug, that's a constant from the year 2000 to the year 2026.
Correct. And as we discussed, actually, it goes back into World War II, but more, more recent now. So, okay. So,
yeah, but I mean, when you look at nothing happened in the 90s, really, the 80s,
right?
You know what I'm saying? This is just suddenly
clusters.
This just seems like suddenly after 9/11, and then now again in 2022 to 2026, we're going through the same thing again. And I mean, it bears scrutiny, but it's not getting the scrutiny that it really needs. And
No.
they're way too dismissive of this. They're too dismissive and making excuses like shit happens. I mean, that's almost the attitude, and that they need to lose that attitude because there's a problem here.
And you know, the one thing that we both
be it our people killing them or foreign actors killing them. It doesn't
thank
matter.
you. That I wanted you to hit that because there is something very evil going on within our government and by our government against the people working on behalf of our government. But the reasons we don't, I mean, I don't know.
These could very simply just be people of conscience.
Could be.
That know what the government's going to do to us or going to try and pull.
Right.
And threaten to say something. Lord knows that's happened.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're found suicided. That's not even a mystery. It's just the mystery is why nobody does anything about it. Well, they don't know where to go with it. They don't have any idea who killed them. Or if they do know who killed them, it's too terrifying to say out loud.
That's okay. There's like 5 or 6 important points that you pointed out. One would our approach to this is who benefits by their death, okay, when they disappear or die. Yeah. Number 2 is if a case is listed as a suicide or homicide or missing, we don't know what the hell happened. Who benefits by that? And can we rely on those determinations? I think you and I agreed we can't. Okay. Was it a suicide? We don't. We can't.
And when things like this happen, the people around them often are scared shitless to say anything.
Yeah.
You know, I worked for some people in St. Louis in my youth, and a person of a person of my exact position. Okay.
I mean, which
that I worked with many times. Somebody knocked on the door. He answered the door, and he got shot in the face. And I started questioning it. And I was told, these are exact words, and I'm only going to say it because his exact words were, "Leave it the fuck alone."
Yeah.
That's what I was told. And guess what? That's what I did. And I split St. Louis. I left. I went to Florida. I got on a bus. I got on the bus under a different name. And I left. And I left it alone.
And you knew what you were involved. I mean, you knew.
I'm not ashamed to say that.
Well,
and then months later, the feds came in, and everybody that worked with me was in prison, put in prison.
Well, but see,
but that's how when things happen,
right?
You know, the scientist next to you disappears, and although it looks suspicious, you may be called into the office and told to leave it alone. Guess what? You're going to leave it alone. If you got wife, kids,
don't you think? Okay, so we were told to stand down when it came to Butler. We were told to stand down.
How many times in life I've been told to stand down?
Right. Okay.
And when you have family, I'm sorry, you're going to stand down. That's just the way it is.
Well,
even if you think there's a perceived threat,
true,
you might do like me, shut down operations and leave the country.
Now, let me just offer this clarification for those people thinking we stood down on Butler for those reasons. No, we stood down because we were neutered, because we were not permitted access to what we needed access to advance our investigation. So what the heck, we were standing around with our, what's in our hands. And you know what? That's no way to run an investigation. So if you're going to hobnob us or, cut us off at the knees, sorry about that reference, RT, but no, we're not going to do that.
That's what happened. Cut off at the knees.
Yeah.
It's over. It's done. So, I mean, there's nothing else at that point to investigate. You don't have anything,
Yep. Either
you can only do so
or,
much without, deputizing us, or we're going to drag people out of houses and beat their asses until they talk. I mean, I don't know what you want.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So
we're going to phone book them.
So a lot of these cases, that we found, what RT and I have agreed upon, are individuals who perhaps know what happened, know that there's something really fishy about all of these, but won't talk, can't talk, or refuse to talk.
Because no one of these people worked on a project all alone. Be assured of that. Be assured of that.
Right. And then to kind of make it, and boy, this goes right down that line, RT, of the stuff we've seen. The official response, House Oversight Committee, Comer, and Representative Burleson, okay, boy, they drag in, they get briefings from the FBI, DOE, DOD, NASA, and then the FBI comes in. Yeah. And what do we have? A bunch of nothing, right?
Paint it black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So then you pointed out the varied circumstances, which interesting, because in terms of missing / dead scientists, the circumstances under which they were missing or found dead. Well, you said it nicely. Confirmed natural causes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Suicides, homicides.
Mm-hmm. And just because when they say suicide, do you remember the story about the guy that that movie was based on him, Kill the Messenger?
I don't know.
Okay. He was a reporter, and he was digging at the South American drug angle with the U.S. involvement in it down South America and all.
You're not talking about Barry Seal, are you?
No, a guy like that, though. Okay. But he kept digging and digging and digging and digging, and they suicided him. And the way it was just something crazy about how he was shot twice, like in the back of the head, and they called it a suicide. And I don't remember the guy's name right offhand, but unbelievable. And it was a true story. The movie was a true story.
Yeah.
And I've seen this before. I saw this in Virginia Beach, Virginia, a friend of mine. And they tried to say that he shot himself behind his ear. A suicide.
Yeah.
I knew the man. Okay. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time with those cops in Virginia Beach. And they shot him in the back of the head. I don't give a damn what they say. I know the man. If he was going to commit suicide, he wouldn't have shot himself behind the ear.
Right.
Okay. Someone snuck up behind him and shot him in the back of the head. I've seen this before in real life, guys. Doug's seen this before. And what are you going to, how do I prove the police department wrong?
And how do you prove, how do you go against the court?
Yeah, you have to have the resources to do that. Yeah. And that's not easy to do when, like Doug just said, the coroner says that's what happened, and officers on scene said that's how they found him. Yeah. What are you gonna do? That's case closed. And what do you tell his widow? It was a friend of mine too.
What do you tell his widow?
I just sat there and cried with her.
Did she know?
She knew. She called me. She's the one that called me. Said, please come and look at this, please. And I did.
Out of fairness, RT, I don't think I shared this with you or the audience. There was only one case when I was working as an insurance detective in the equivocal death investigation unit, the criminal unit at the Fortune 100 company. Okay, so I was sent out to investigate the alleged suicide of a man who went down in his basement and killed himself with a 38. Okay, in the one shot to the head. But the problem, and the insurance company was on the hook for, at that time, it was I think $1.5 million, double indemnity as well after the suicide exclusion ran out. So the problem, the insurance company, I looked at the file, and the problem was this. 2 shots were fired. Imagine this. This gentleman was in his early 60s, was a corporate executive had just a crap ton of insurance on him. Goes down, and he was depressed because he had medical problems. So he goes down in his basement, which I don't use that. It wasn't really, it was a lower level, very well appointed. And I remember this. And his wife is upstairs, and all of a sudden, a bullet comes through the floor. And she's like, what the, And then the next one, there's a second shot. Now, he's the only one down there, but there was a second shot. Now, that didn't go through the floor. At least she didn't see it. So she goes running downstairs, and there he is on the floor, dead, with one gunshot wound to his head, with one fatal gunshot wound to his head, one that scathed his parietal lobe. So the insurance company says, oh, no, this has got to be murder. How does that happen? Well, come to find out, just long story short, the guy had Parkinson's, was shaking so much he could not.
Right. Yeah. He missed with the first one.
He missed the first one. So, I mean, things do happen.
I understand that. But when you have a body that's got two solid shots, and both of those shots could have been the fatal shot. And especially when they're from the rear.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to sell me on suicide.
Which comes to dead scientists the most recently found dead scientist that we mentioned before, Melissa Casillas. All right. So those of you who know Brian Enton from News Nation, just a great reporter. He was interviewing Ben Hansen, I think it was yesterday, maybe, and talking about this Maria Casillas, who we mentioned earlier. So this is Source Video 4. This kind of really cuts through the smoke and mirrors. It's a pretty long interview, but I chopped it up in a couple of parts here. We can just go to cut A and then cut D. Okay, so we can do that. So this is the woman that was found at Kit Carson National Forest. And if there was anything that resembled McCaslin's disappearance, and if there's any kind of exhibit of the oddities surrounding pretty much many of these deaths or disappearances, this could be used as that. So, as an introduction, here's Brian Enton interviewing Ben Carson, a former FBI agent who's worked on UFOs and just all sorts of weird things, talking about Melissa, recently being found May 29th of 2026, missing for almost a year. Just how strange the case was. So here's cut A setting it up, I believe. I think I isolated this pretty well. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk to you about this, though, just since you're a retired FBI agent, you know about all these labs, and I'm sure you've been following the story with all the missing scientists, and I've kind of gone back and forth, like, are they related, are they not related? But the Melissa Casillas development is interesting. No one knew where she was for a long time. Now her body was discovered. They're saying that it was skeletonized, which is what I've heard, and propped up against a tree with an abandoned gun laying nearby. And her family thinks that foul play could be suspected because the body didn't show any signs of animal activity. And she's been missing for quite a while. Mm-hmm. What stands out to you there?
Well, I've been following the missing scientists, like a lot of people in this field, and that came as a surprise. I don't think we expected to find any of these people, and so for Casillas, tragically, for that news to come forward, first of all, it's hard to say that it really gave any closure to the family. I mean, it's so odd, these set of circumstances, and then they've hired a private investigator. I think rightly so, because the official explanation, I'm not saying they're covering everything up, it's just that it's inadequate, right? The evidence, it looks like, at least what they're willing to share with us, is very weird. The official kind of statements that they say her body was skeletonized. It's been not quite a year. It was propped up. I think the private investigator for the family said it appeared that it had been staged. So the questions, as an investigator, I'd be wanting to know, and maybe they do know this and not sharing it, but you'd want to know, for example, it says the handgun was found nearby. So what they're going to be doing is looking at, I read too that there was one gunshot to the cranium. So you want to know, okay, well, where was that shot placed? Does it seem likely that she did it herself? You're going to be looking at the placement of the firearm. How far away was it? We do know that she had no phone with her. She had no identification. We don't know if she had like a watch or any valuables. I think she left everything. So she wasn't able to be tracked. And so what they're going to be looking for now is there evidence that there was human disturbance, first of all? Like, did someone place her there? Did they prop her up and stage this to look like it was a suicide? And forensics, when it's been out there in the weather, I will say in a desert environment, I've been to crash sites of aircraft, and way back from the 50s. Right? And metal and things like that you think would just disappear. The desert holds secrets. It's still there, like on the topsoil. But when somebody's exposed to a hot, arid environment and the body is now skeletonized, as it said, that might make it really difficult to find any residual, burn, black powder, things they rely on to tell if somebody did this to themselves. So it's a tough case.
Okay, you can cut that.
So that'll.
So RT.
Yeah, without an eyewitness, it's going to be a hard one.
Right. Now she was seen on surveillance, which I think that video showed. She was seen on surveillance walking briskly, entering that park. She was seen the day of, earlier that day. No problems at all. So this is so bizarre. That park is about 10 miles, depending on which way you go. Where her body was found, it was about 10 miles from her home. She had no ID, no purse, nothing to track her, nothing to ID her, and her body was found. But here's the weird part. Well, there's a lot of weird parts to this. Rather than go through the rest of the video, because we have other stuff, pertinent stuff to get to.
Just what you said about she didn't have any personal effects with her, that is very suspicious.
Right. And here's what I do know for a fact.
For a stroll in the woods,
Right. Right. Now, for a fact, I was able to verify this independent of all of everything you heard. But you're correct. She had no car keys. She left her car in front of her house. Again, about 10 miles from her home is where she was last seen, entering the park, but she was found within that park.
So she drove her husband to work and then drove home.
And then all of a sudden, a few hours later.
So somebody picked her up and took her to where she was killed.
Oh, keep that thought, folks, because see, we're kind of going through some potentials here, possibilities. You're right. Maybe somebody did. Plus a cell phone, personal cell phone, and a work cell phone. Both factory reset. We do know some other things, such as her electronics wiped clean.
And these are still at her home.
Uh-huh. And her husband's very concerned. In fact, her husband, again, family hired a PI. They're not cheap when you get paid. Right? Anyway, the PIs are running into all sorts of roadblocks on this one. Some very angry law enforcement, very, very uncooperative law enforcement, and feds. But here's the weird part. They organized a search party, and they combed that park. Now, it's a big park, but they combed that park. And you know what? They combed the park, the part of the park where her body was just found. So, RT, if you're a criminal, because I know your devious mind and criminal mind, where's the best place to hide a body? If you have to hide a body, where's the best place to hide one if you know it's going to be found for whatever reason? In a place that,
if I know it's going to be found?
Yeah, I mean, in the place that's already been searched, right?
Yeah. I put in the obvious, in the open.
How many times have we seen missing kids? Well, a couple come to mind where volunteers search an area and then they research it and they find the body of a child.
Mm-hmm.
We search there. Oh, we didn't see. And more often than not, it's usually like a family member that, like a father, mother, or something like that, and a child. But this case is a little different. So they found her body. It was skeletonized. And there's another thing, too. It was untouched by predators.
That's the puzzling part. That's unheard of.
In that environment, absolutely.
Above ground, that's unheard of.
I was hired back in 30 years ago to look for a missing 35-year-old man. And we conducted an air search by land, but also I remember being in an aircraft looking for this guy and his truck. By the way, it's easier to find a vehicle than it is a person. But I remember missing that by 1 mile. I still kick myself. I effed up in a big way. But anyway, but the fact that this body, her body was found in a place that was already searched and no predator at all involved.
Yeah, that's pretty strange.
Okay. Now, what's the bottom line? What's one of the connections here that on the deaths that if you look hard enough and understand the limitations of the night, you're not going to get the detail necessary to prove this. But let's go to Ben, the FBI agent here, Ben Hansen's theories, and he labels them as such. I think we started. Eric the Tech.
That almost sounds like frozen, thawed, and placed.
Something, right?
Yeah, because even buried shallow, there's a chance that animals will dig it up. I know
exactly.
that. I know that for certain. That happened in Orlando that deal I was involved in. And the guy's dogs dug it up.
I told you to bury it deeper. No, but
above ground and predators not touch it. Bullshit.
Exactly. And the man that I was looking for 30 years ago, when they found him, he had gone off the road and crashed his truck down a ravine, and the wildlife actually did a number on him, but they also moved the animals, and this was verified, removed his head, which was found probably 30 feet, 20 from memory, 20 or 30 feet from his body. But it was wildlife that did that. So for a body like this to be in that environment, not to be touched by any wildlife, all right. All right. So what's going on here? We have two things. We've got causes of death, and then we've got reasons for disappearance. What would make somebody, like you said, maybe just go meet somebody?
It could be forced to leave her home. Hey, there's something wrong with your husband. So she drops everything, runs, they kill her. I'm going to say she wasn't placed at that time, and then went back, they cleared the cell phones, every trace of being there. I say it sounds like they froze her somewhere and then placed her. You know what I'm saying?
Getting people,
just doesn't make.
Yeah, I agree.
Not tested by wildlife. It would have to be such a short period of time that she was actually there. But they said she was skeletonized, though. I don't.
So yeah,
I don't know.
Here's the thing: the official cause of death. Now that was May 29th. So here we are, June 23rd. Look, I get the fact that there's a lot of stuff that has to be done and tests run and stuff, but I have a problem with the lack of wildlife involvement. And you know where that comes from? What would cause a fox, wolf, or a predator not to touch carrion, whether it's a human or animal? Contamination of some kind, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do these people work? Well, nuclear laboratories, and I don't know. Just saying, just tossing this out there. But here's the larger sense. A lot of these have similar MOs, okay, whether it's the missing part or the being found part. All right. So what could be causing, let's go to the beginning here. What could be causing the disappearance part? Let's go to cut D, Ben Hanson's theory. This is one of a few theories, but this is one that we looked at and we said, whoa, this has got some very familiar signatures, MOs, and folks pay attention to this. I'm not sure if it's 1320 or 1730. Eric the Tech. Let's try 1320. What the heck? Cut D of video.
There's a couple theories to you. Okay. Now these might be way far-fetched, but right now everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. Okay. A lot of people want to connect this to their work, right? What they've been doing, McCaslin, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Special Aspects programs, everything that he had known or, was looking into with UFO subject. Okay. And then you have Casillas, who was an executive admin. Don't know a whole lot about what she was doing at Los Alamos, but I imagine she had a top secret clearance. Nearly everyone there who works there does. And she was probably privy to a lot of things, but we don't know if her work was tied to this at all. But let's say it was. Okay, let's say that she had information, and let's say the government needed her help. Okay, so when this happens and people are deployed and they go somewhere where they can't tell their spouse what they're doing, where they're going, almost always, and I know a lot of people who have done this kind of secret squirrel stuff, right? What happens is they give you the courtesy at least to tell your loved ones and to say, hey, I'm going to be gone, not sure how long. You guys know this is how it works. I'll be gone probably a couple weeks. I'll check in with you they'll give you a third-party number or something to let you know I'm okay, but you do not bring any of your personal belongings. So you leave your own phone. You don't have to scrub it. I mean, that's the thing. She purposely or somebody wiped it clean, right? So you don't bring any identification of you. They give you a new ID, right? Now you're somebody new. If you travel overseas, you're on a new passport and you have a new identity and a burner phone. And that phone is the way you communicate only with certain people, right?
Eric, pause that just for a second.
And then you come back.
Just for clarity, I don't know that life RT does. Just saying. Go ahead and continue with that.
You get all your stuff back, but you can't be communicating. It places your family and things in danger. So let's say that's what happened. I would think she would at least be able to tell her spouse. Now, sometimes the spouses are in on it. And I thought that about McCaslin, because initially his wife, when she called, it seemed very cavalier. Not necessarily in the 911 tape, but her social media posts. I know people deal with grief differently, as I've said. And I don't wish, people to be too critical of her, but there was a lot of humor there. and her talking about, yeah, people are saying it's UFOs. Well, there haven't been any UFO sightings, around here recently, so I don't think he was taken aboard or something like that. Very weird if you really think your husband is in danger and is gone, right? So again, some people talk that way, but it also might be indicative of somebody who knew I was warned he was going to leave, and I have a script, and I have to do what is expected of me, which is to call the police to report him missing. But in the back of my mind, I know he's okay. He's just off on assignment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm
And
wondering
in
with
both,
her though, like you said, as an administrative assistant, or at least that's what they said she was doing, I guess. Like, I don't know, does that,
it doesn't make sense.
yeah,
If that was her true role, and,
No,
and she's not like an
no.
acknowledged, scientist working on some project or something, she still could have information be very useful. But it's not somebody that I would expect that would be like, hey, let's call you up. We need you to work for a couple months in some undisclosed location. That doesn't make sense.
yeah,
I wouldn't say it's very likely. So the second theory I'm going to throw out here
This is it.
is even maybe stranger, and I have nothing to support that. So
We
people
do.
can, right now, not criticize me for this. Nothing to support this, but we do have information this past year where the government has acknowledged the Havana syndrome.
It's not what you think it is, folks. Now, I think I had you cut that off there, right? Or pause that right there. Let me look. All right. The Havana syndrome comes in many different flavors, folks. Go ahead and continue with that. Chad,
Yeah, let him say his piece.
yeah. Chad, you tracking with this? You see where we're going to be headed here? Because here's the thing. If you've been, for example, if you've been following like the Nancy Guthrie case, that's one way, right? That's one way. If you know what I'm talking about, that's one way. But think about the positions. And by the way, the administrative assistant, no. That's the cover. All right, continue. Go ahead with that.
It wasn't Casillas, but one of the others, I think, had said, and she believed that she was being targeted by energy-directed weapons, right? And so you're like, well, it sounds like a lot of paranoia there. But the same whistleblowers and witnesses who are experiencing Havana syndrome, and they're getting these severe headaches and paralyzing pain when they were serving in embassies in Cuba and other embassies, and they finally recognized this is a weapon that, if you're following the story, that Homeland Security actually purchased one from the black market, something similar, a small device, it seems like, that maybe Russia had made. And if that is possible, is it possible that foreign adversaries are targeting U.S. military or contractors and employees for some other new sort of a weapon of some sort? And maybe it's not a weapon that necessarily causes pain, but again, this is far-fetched, but it's not too crazy that the government has explored in what's called voice-to-skull technologies. They have actually been able to direct energy at somebody and implant voices or things. Now, if you look at the conspiracy theorists, they think, well, that's how these assassinations are happening, right? They're brainwashing people to go kill public figures, and they're beaming voices into their head. Well, that's a grand claim to make, but what if they were just trying to kind of test people, maybe put them into depression, or maybe make them paranoid, because this is so out of character for so many of these people. McCasland was acting anxious the night before. He was not himself. Casillas, not that case. They said she appeared normal. But it's not normal to wipe your phone, it seems like, make up an excuse it appears, and say, I don't have my badge today. So she's dropping her husband off to work. I'm going to go home and work. Get your daughter a sandwich, right? And then just disappear. I think either there was an influence from the outside, and I'm not saying that it's energy directed anything, but foreign adversary influence of some sort. I guess it could be domestic too, but they're being influenced and either threatened and told, we can harm your family if you notify them or whatever, or the other option is they were enticed. And they didn't, this is the behavior in all these cases. It looks like they thought they were coming back, in my opinion. They thought they were going to meet somebody or that they were going to help in some sort, but they were coming back. And so they went along with it, right? And doing the things like erasing your phone, changing your clothes, leaving your belongings, because otherwise, put yourself in their shoes. Even if you thought this was so crazy that someone was asking you to do this, would you not have at least told somebody, your loved ones, to say goodbye, right? Or leave a note that maybe they discovered.
It depends on which. The voice-to-skull technology has been in use for a long time. It's like the Havana syndrome, except it's a different frequency, different delivery. Same method of delivery, but different content delivery, different package delivery. And that delivery is this. It's as if you're talking to yourself, God's talking to you, however, but it's convincing, and you would do something. Think back to MK Ultra and the use of LSD.
I was reading something here recently, Doug, about the iPhones. And implanting voices in people's heads.
That's possible.
And what they were talking about, it sounded crazy, but at the same time, it didn't sound crazy. It sounded possible. It sounded possible.
Yep.
And the technology that's out there today, the Lord only knows. Lord only knows. Why these people left the house, I don't know. A lot of it looks like they thought maybe they were helping to somebody. Somebody goes outside with a 38. Maybe he heard something outside. That was the last thing he did. You don't know.
On balance, when you look at all of these disappearances and deaths, and there's about a dozen, some are attributed to, that person died of cancer and this person died of a heart attack or whatever. You have to look through the stated causes of death or stated reasons for disappearance, or just we don't know. In the case of McCaslin, or in the case of this woman. So there was something that caught RT's attention. Eric had something to say about it. So let's play this. This is a video short. This is cut 1. This is about voice-to-skull technology. Voice-to-skull tech. Go ahead and play that. Yeah. It cuts to the heart of what we're talking about. Go ahead. Video 1.
Skull technology. This is also in the foray of directed energy weapons.
What is that?
The ability to, let's just say, throw your voice into your head or my voice into my head, or allowing algorithms that now they can blanket a whole geographical area and they can make everybody change their thoughts. If you find yourself where you have to make a decision about something, next thing you know, you catch yourself kind of having an argument in your head with your own voices. Well, the ability to add another one of your voices in there, but have it controlled by somebody else's microphone, so to say, is a very powerful tool. And I think this is a weapon of war. The Department of Defense recently started initiating protocols for their employees, their agents, to discuss Havana syndrome-like symptoms. And on that list is that their agents are hearing voices in their head. This is that technology. Next thing you know, you're trying to make a decision, but there's another Sean in your head that now is actually somebody else's control. And through the manipulation of that voice, they can now push you. Voice to.
So you can watch the entire video, but you get the idea, right, folks? So, RT, scary thought. Towers going up during COVID lockdowns.
Yeah. You notice how fast they went up?
Yeah. 6G coming or here. Directed energy weapons that have been around for a long time that are being used by adversaries as well as domestic agencies. What would explain
something we used in Venezuela falls along these lines.
Yep.
Just from descriptions of what people said occurred.
Not the discombobulator, but something different, though. Yes. In addition to.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Because that was a very minimal force. Took out an entire military.
Think about that. Think about the
minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, RT, you and I spoke about the oh my goodness, in Pittsburgh when they had there was a meeting in Pittsburgh. Gosh, I don't know, 20 years ago of a lot of big people, big wigs. They brought out sound weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Didn't use them, but they brought them out.
Yeah. Oh, they've got this stuff. We know that.
Okay. So, I guess when we're looking at the larger, and people might say, "Oh, shut up," because you really don't have any proof. Well, we do. Well, we have evidence, not proof. Proof would rise to the level of taking it to a prosecutor or to a court.
Yeah, and that'd be pretty definitive, which we don't have.
Right. So, what about the historical context? Has anything like this happened before? And yes, it has. Let me just look here. The historical context behind this. Okay, let me pull this up. In the meantime, I'll tell you what. Before we get to the historical context, which I'll tell you this. I know there's somebody in I don't know who it is, but they're going to have a fit because they dislike both Chase Hughes as well as Sean Ryan. But Sean Ryan had Chase Hughes on, and you and I played part of this, RT, some time ago, but not this part. Not this part. The historical context for what we're seeing right now originated in the MKUltra program. All of the government documents exist. Not all, well, I shouldn't say all of them. Many of them exist. And one document in particular mentioned in this part of the interview deals directly with what we're talking about, except the use of directed energy weapons as opposed to drugs. So what we'll do to kind of the final part of the evidence we have is to play the cut. It's this particular part starts at 1 hour 57 minutes and change into the interview with Chase Hughes. This addresses the historical context, and this addresses stuff in this book, Chaos. If you haven't read this book, Chaos, you need to read the book to understand how we got here and what the hell's going on right now. This also addresses CIA, secret history of the 60s, music, and all of the mind-bending, mind-numbing stuff that goes on as a weapon. I don't think I could have said it better than this. Go ahead and hit the source clip. What is that? You have that, Eric the Tech. It would be video 3, prompted to 157.35. This gives you the historical context of what's going on today. Go ahead and play it.
I mean, you know, this, I don't know, this makes MK Ultra pop in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds kind of similar.
They did a lot of that stuff.
Do you?
I know a lot about MK Ultra.
Let's hear about it.
There is, well, the background to it is the government was freaking out that there were guys in the Korean War saying America's bad. I renounce my citizenship. I hate America. Korea, yay Korea, boo America kind of videos. And they're like, well, there's some technology, because these are patriotic Americans being told to do all this stuff. So there was a start of what I would refer to as a mental arms race. And the Soviets were also doing this stuff too. And this is where you had weird stuff going on. We had like Project Stargate, like the Men Who Stare at Goats movie, and remote viewing and all this other stuff was going on. Then they started MK Ultra, which involved a lot of former Nazi scientists. And involved a lot of LSD and dosing people with massive, massive doses of LSD and ruining a lot of people's lives in the process. But it was an attempt initially to find some kind of a truth serum. And actually the Navy participated in the biggest one, which was called Project Chatter, which is a sub-project of MK Ultra. And with this guy, he's a professor at it's in Hamilton, New York. I can't remember the name of the Colgate University. His name's Dr. George Estabrooks. And he and J. Edgar Hoover are collaborating on a plan to use hypnosis to capture and hypnotize a German submarine captain and give him alter identities. And send him back to his fleet in Germany and have him torpedo the entire German fleet inside the harbor. And this was a legit plan. And I have access to the documents that survived the destruction order, and it was called Super Spy. And do you do show notes? Like the PDF in the comment or PDF in the description thing?
Mm-mm.
Shit. I would have sent it to you so people can download it. But
we'll do it. We'll do it. We've
okay.
done it before. I thought you meant
okay.
We'll do it.
Yeah, so I'll send it to you so people can actually look at these, because they're not public record.
Thank you.
I went to this guy's house, talked to a family member. These were like old stuff that survived the CIA's destruction order of all of this stuff. But it got weird. I mean, these guys had lots of power. This was called the OSS, which, as you know pretty well back then. We've got this guy running the show. His name's Wild Bill Donovan. And his instructions to the lead guys in every unit was to make merry hell when it came to MK Ultra. And they did this one project called Project Midnight Climax. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
They took prostitutes in San Francisco, and these women would lure these men back to the hotel and drug them with LSD, like high-dose LSD. And on the other side of a two-way mirror, these scientists would be back there writing down God knows what, because that's all we really know about the whole program. But they were also experimenting with aerosol LSD. Like, can we disperse it into a crowd? Can we disperse it over a city? What does it do in water supplies? And just some insane stuff. But they discovered this way to create a Manchurian Candidate. And this is a lot of where some of these ideas came from. And this guy, George Estabrooks, perfected, or back then had it perfected, this system to create a Manchurian Candidate, to where he could create an alter ego inside of an Army officer. One of them was the normal officer, and they called him Jones A, and there was a Jones B. And we could send this guy through enemy lines, doing whatever. Jones A is a normal Army officer. Jones B is carrying these vital classified secrets, radio frequencies, whatever it is. I made that last part up, the frequency part up. Who knows what he's carrying? So if Jones A gets captured, Jones B doesn't activate until he hears a very specific hypnotic phrase or hypnotic command under hypnosis. And they do that on the other side of the line. So they developed this stuff way back when. And one of the doctors working on this whole project was named Dr. Joylyn West, who may have been involved with the Sirhan situation and Bobby Kennedy, and which is a whole nother rabbit hole. But it looks like Sirhan to me. I'm 100% convinced that he was programmed to do that.
No shit.
It's not hard to do. I mean, look at the Milgram experiment. 40 minutes, kill a stranger. And they didn't use hypnosis. There was no like cool sales tactic or script that they had to follow. Everybody's concerned with like, what do I say? What are the exact words I need to say? It's, can you trigger the fate model? Focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. And if you get that, you get compliance. And if you get that plus hypnosis, then you can create the Manchurian candidate. And it's not that hard to do. You don't.
So, folks, and I'm going to back out of this and let RT opine here for a while, but here's why I included that. They have replaced actual LSD or psychedelics in large part with frequency weapons, directed energy weapons. Is that the case for some of these? Everything I've seen that we're presenting here points to yes. Is it all of them? Does it count for all of them? No. But the mere fact that they're rolling these out, that they're using them, and I say that because when you look, for example, at the body that was found, and the fact that the body was staged and perhaps repositioned, and all of the other elements of that particular case, and how some aspects of that case are very similar to McCaslin and others, you can see a pattern that if you just refuse to think outside of the box, you'll never see that pattern. But we're trying to think outside of the box. What accounts for all of this? Well, a big part of this is the who, not the band, but the person or entity or group behind these, and they all seem to have things in common. The last thing, if you can put up very quickly, and then RT, I'm going to kick it to you for your final comments. If you can put the last thing up, which is the link graphic. That's the first attachment on the show notes. I'm not even sure how, or is there, I'm not sure if we have yeah, we're going to have to use that one. There it is right there. Okay. Look at the links. Look at the links. Does anything stick out, folks, at the links here? NASA, JPL, Los Alamos, Kirkland Air Force Base, Wright-Patterson. Study this. There will be links in the program notes that you can dig deeper on this. It's our contention that one aspect of all of this involves mind control. Simply stated, look, it doesn't have to be all of them. It doesn't have to be.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, but
It's
you know
a
what?
possibility. There's a number of ways these people could have died.
But see, RT, you and I, and keep that up there if you don't mind. RT, you and I, if we see somebody shot with a 38, you can trace the 38 and ultimately find out whoever had the weapon, and there's the who, right?
Right.
Okay. The big who here, if you trace the weapon, which is a directed energy weapon, you can find the who, and it's pretty damn unsettling when you think about it.
Well, yeah, because the choices of who become very limited.
Very much.
You know.
So it's either us
But it's
Or
the
them.
one thing they all have in common: they're working on something top secret.
Right.
That's the troublesome thing here, is these people were working on something top secret. So, be it a foreign adversary, be it our own government, it could be any one of those options. We don't know. But what's scary is that we would have a government, and we do have a government, that would be willing to kill people over this.
Elements within our government, yeah.
Elements within the government, yeah. That's plain and simple. We know that. That's not a mystery. Foreign adversaries, the sad part to that is that our government can't protect its employees better, if that's the case. You know, and were they playing along with the foreign government before they were killed?
There we go.
Did they give information away? Did they sell information? You know, a lot of this, they're never going to tell us the truth on, because they don't want us to know. They don't want us to know. They would rather that it remained a mystery.
But you know, RT, I was thinking about this, and in closing here, there are so many talented people out there. Former homicide detectives I've watched, detectives with just incredible experience. Turn your sights, folks. In addition to what you're working on, turn your sights onto this, because you're going to be surprised at what you find. But the roadblocks here are kind of like the ones you and I ran into.
This is Butler for everybody.
This is Butler. Yeah.
You know, you're if you think you're going to get close, I got a surprise for you.
Well, you might get close, but you're gonna somebody's gonna step on your
somebody's gonna diffuse you.
Yeah.
This is a mess. This is way too many people. This isn't. I don't take any of this as chance. Like I said, one, maybe two. The rest of them, a percentage of these are suspicious. We need to figure out exactly which ones.
And I'm going to tell you something. You nailed it initially. If you think back to the early 2000s, the dead scientists, the dead doctors.
There was tons of them. And the strange thing was, in the same type of industries.
Oh, yeah.
Except one thing that was more prevalent then was, my opinion, chemicals.
I agreed.
Chemical research.
Yep.
Chemical research.
Okay, it was biochemical.
Yes, which I found troubling.
Right.
I found it very troubling.
And think back at that time, and again, the patterns are there, the fingerprints are there, the MOs, the signatures are there. If you look back then and compare it to now, it's the same pattern of activity, the same MOs, the same signatures. So you would think, okay, the same people. Do we have a problem today? Abso-friggin-lutely. Did we have one then? Yes, we did. Where's it all heading? Why now?
Yep. Why is it repeating itself?
There it is.
That's the real question. Why is it repeating itself? Because we went through this once before, and this is very concentrated, and back then it was very concentrated.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the answers back then.
You know,
I think a lot of good ideas. But,
yeah, we get close, and I think
we didn't solve it though. We didn't nail it dead. You know, we didn't put a nail in the coffin.
No. I agree with you on that. But you know, I think now if we go back and revisit, and I'm a big believer, RT, is when you hit a brick wall, what do? You go back and you start over again. Okay. Yeah. And that's what we need to do. We need to drag that research that we did back then, drag it out, match the pattern, match the signature, match the MO, look at who benefits, and then compare.
And you have a lot of the same MOs and the same patterns. So the only difference I see was subject matter back then and subject matter here. That's what I see. Okay, the MOs are the same. People dying and disappearing with no real mysteries, man.
Yeah, I remember.
But back then it was one, but still it was weapons and secrets. That's what this is all about.
I remember a guest on our show, Philip Haney. I don't know, folks, how many recall him being on our show. He was supposedly committed suicide on the side of the road with a shotgun, right? Always wore a thumb drive around his neck on a chain. Huh. Wasn't there. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do? Chat, how do we do? Fair? A+, A, B, F, what? FU? Sorry. Let us know in the comments. And you know what? If you got anything out of this, please share it. RT has a recovery fund. It'll be in the show notes. You know what, folks? If you, I'll tell you what, if you can.
If you can, fantastic. If you can, I understand.
Thank you.
Yeah. rt.recoveryfund@gmail.com. That's done through PayPal. You can also do through PayPal, help4rt@gmail.com. Either one. I appreciate it. And I got a ways to go, but a lot of people have helped clear some bills off for me. And I thank you for that. I thank you for that because that lets me sleep at night. You know?
And you know what? He's Randy Taylor is a really good writer. And I am starting my I'm putting a lot of stuff on Substack. I'm starting to do that on Substack. I have a Substack account. I'll put it in the show notes. But folks, he's going to be doing that too.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. Doug is going to walk me through it, and then we'll start polluting it with some
stuff that you really should know about.
Lots of stuff.
That's right, lots of stuff. So mine, I'll tell you what, I'm just wrestling with some content, not the lack of, but the appropriate placing up there. And by the way, mine is free. It's going to ask you for your email address. You can just no thanks or whatever. It don't matter. But
put your email address in there. Sign up, ladies and gentlemen. Sign up. It's free. It's free.
Yeah, it's free. It just by doing that, it just lets you know when I post again. So anyway, but RT's going to be doing that, and a lot of great things. And speaking of Randy Taylor, there might be a time very soon you're going to see us maybe sitting side by side. Maybe we might have like a longer, unfiltered time together. I don't know. Who knows, right?
Never know, man. It's time for a fireside chat.
In the short term, that's right. Maybe over the 250th birthday of
Now that would be really cool.
Maybe. What do you think, chat? Yeah? Thing to do? Kick back? All right.
This is quite a moment coming up in history. The 250th anniversary of this great nation. That is fantastic. And you know what? It's a reminder that this was a gift from God. And we need to remember that. God gave us this gift. This is a beautiful thing. He took a small patriot army and helped them beat English rule, the English army. One of the most feared armies in the world. And we took them down. But not without the good Lord.
We kicked their asses.
They sent their asses back home.
No,
they're the ones that showed up dressed like targets. We introduced them to this thing called guerrilla warfare.
We might have to revisit that concept.
You never know. You never know.
But folks, I hope this was okay with you. I hope we did okay. Randy Taylor, I want to thank you for your research, your great co-piloting, and Eric the Tech, thank you for putting up with all the stuff.
And anybody out there, if you have any information, please contact us.
Yes.
Okay. And that's on anything that we discuss, or even something that we don't discuss, something that you know of is something serious for this nation or law enforcement. You can always contact us. And we will, if you tell us to keep it a secret, we'll keep it a secret. But if if it's something that the people need to know or it needs to get to the authorities, call us, email us, let us know.
Or if it, let me add this.
Put it this way.
If it's something that needs to get out.
We're not going to keep it a secret. Allow me that. Right. We'll keep your name secret. That's what I meant. That's what I was trying to say.
Because sometimes you give it to the, quote, authorities, and all of a sudden it goes into this black abyss.
Oh, yeah. We know where that trash can's at.
I don't know. All right. Well, God bless you, Randy Taylor. Thank you very much. God bless you, and thanks
for your
time.
Fun. Tonight was a very interesting night. This is just something that you can come at from a lot of different directions, and we can't really look at you and go, "Well, you're crazy," because it's not crazy. Present your theory, because there's a lot of theories floating around out there. I would like to know what happened to these people.
And lastly. This is not a theory from the ether, not a theory without precedent, not a theory without some sort of recognition of previous signature and pattern. This has roots in government history. And at this level, it's absolutely needs to be considered. So there you have it. All right, my friend. Have a good night, man. Folks, God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for joining us. Please share this program. RT support RT as you can, and also subscribe to my Substack and share this and share you.
Absolutely, and please support this platform, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. All right, support one another. God bless, and remember the first few minutes or the first several minutes, numerous minutes of the program. The humanity. These are people's children, wives, sisters, brothers, kids.
Their families would like to know what happened too.
Remember the humanity. Good night, everyone.
God bless.